Today we are going to build one of the symbols that comes in your symbols folder. I think that I will do that one. So I can see the thumbnail right now on top of my rounded rectangle. And I'm going to start doing all the steps that I would do to make that particular shape. For this project, I am going to make a brand new layer in my layers just for this one. You probably put all of your art in its own layer. I've got an icon art layer that I did the rest of these in for the most part. But just for today, I'm going to do it all in this one layer, which is the top, which is 26. No, I can spell. No smoking. No smoking. That's what that layer is called. And I have that layer selected as I start making some of these things. The first thing that I'll do is go use my ellipse tool. And I learned earlier that if I use my ellipse tool while I'm holding down shift, it makes a perfect circle. If I also hold down option, it starts in the center. So I'm finding the center point of this guide that's in here, this thumbnail, holding down shift and option, and you can see it changes that little circle reticle. So I'm holding both of those down, and for this one I'm going to the outside edge of that circle, and I'll show you why I'm doing it that way in just a little bit. First of all, I know that I don't really need a fill on this, but I do want a stroke, so I'll choose a red stroke, and I want to show you something you don't know about strokes yet. If I go over to the stroke control here, I can choose to align my stroke in a different way. Usually it's aligned on the center, but I want to align this stroke to the inside of my path. So I'll click that one, and then as I change the stroke width, you'll be able to see that it's just staying on the inside of the path that I created, which is going to make this project way easier and cooler. I think I'll go 11-point stroke for this one. Going to go choose a line segment tool, and you could really do this with your pen tool if you wanted to, but this gives me the opportunity to do something else cool. I'm going to hit shift and option, and I'm clicking on the center that I already have for that circle. This path will be lined up perfectly with the center of the circle that I already have. Now this doesn't quite look like an anti-ring yet, so going to go to find my rotate tool, and right now, let's see, that's rotated 45. Let's see if I go negative 45, if I get it to look right. Let's make sure and re-preview it. Hey, that looks pretty good. So you may have to do negative 45 or 45 depending on which direction you went when you made that stroke initially. The last time I did it, I had to go the opposite way. So hit OK. Got that part pretty well, although I think I'll make some changes to it. Just because I've done a similar project and I had to make it into a three-dimensional shape, I'm going to do this other little trick. I want to take these shapes, and this you can see is just a path with a really fat stroke on it. I'm going to go to Object and Path and Outline Stroke, and you'll see that this one is now changed to a box that does have a fill and no stroke. I'm going to do the same thing with this ring on the outside. Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. And you see that it has a path on the inside and outside. It's now a compound path. The other thing that I'll do is grab both of these at the same time, and you can see with the path where these two shapes intersect, I'll select those and use my Pathfinder, and I'll hit Unite, and you can see that now it's all just one shape with two holes in it. So that's pretty cool. Gonna go look at the layers. I don't need to see this one for a while, so I will make it invisible, and we'll work on just that little cigarette part now. I think for this one I'll use the rectangle tool and make the shape of that, outside shape of that. Let's see, I'm going to make it just a funny color right now so that you can tell the difference between some of the different pieces that I put in there really easily. In order to get this kind of negative space in this little sectioned off part of that cigarette. I'm going to make a copy of this. We're going to actually chop it up in an interesting way that's pretty easy and pretty quick. I'm going to go Command C and Command V to make another copy of that. I think that I'll use the free transform tool to make it pretty short. I'll make it about that width. That looks pretty good. Put that back on. Let's see, this one I'll change the color, something that contrasts really easily. And now I'm going to move it around until it lines up exactly with the corners of the first piece. I'm going to copy, Command C, Command V, paste that same one. Let's see, this I'll turn into another color that contrasts pretty well. And line it up exactly the same way. I can do that because I have smart guides on. Put another one of these on there. Another one of those. And now I have the whole structure of the end of that cigarette, although it looks really funny. So here's the reason why I did that. So I could just get rid of those two. I really just made them to space it out. And I'm going to use my pathfinder again, minus front, and I'll take away those green parts. So now I have just some negative spaces in that continuous shape. So I really wanted all that to be black. Now, problem with these two is that the cigarette's in the front instead of behind, so I can just use my layers to change that up. Only thing I have left to do is the little smoke effect. And I found that the best way to do that one is to use my pencil tool. And I'll set up my stroke so that right now it's 2 points. We'll see how it works. I'll make it really big so that I have the most control over it on the work surface that I have. And I'll just draw it with my pencil tool. If I don't get it quite right, since I'm making a vector shape, it's not really going to matter too much. I can always change it. Alright, a couple of problems with these right now. It's the wrong color. So I'll go in and make those into about 50% gray. Might make them 1 point fatter. Now I need to go edit these paths a little bit. And I'm using my direct selection tool, also known as the white arrow. If your path is ever too wobbly, just use subtract, and you can subtract a couple of those anchor points off, and you can make them a lot more simple. Go back to that white arrow here. Make that go just a little bit further. Hey, that one's pretty good. This one is just a little too blocky, angular right there. One thing that I would do before I was done with this one is to change the caps of those two strokes so that they're nice and round. And here I go. I'll show you where to do that. I'll make sure they're selected, and we'll go over to the stroke control. And this one, I'm going to choose a round cap for that. And you can see, hopefully down here in the corner, that it changed the cap of that stroke to be a nice kind of half circle. And if it's too close, you might have to go and change it. I want them to end at the same level, so there. Hey, pretty good. I think I'm done with that. That didn't take very long, did it?